Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Professor H.R. Chopra, former head, Department of Library and Information Science, Punjab University, Chandigarh. In this module, we will discuss schools of management thought, which is part of the management of libraries and information centers. The management thoughts were prevalent right in the ancient time, and different people, different authorities gave different thoughts. They were prevalent in Vedas period, in Christian period, in 300 BC, but more of them are available during 19th century. Broadly, all these management thoughts can be divided and grouped into three parts. First is classical thoughts, second is new classical thought, and third is modern thought. In each category, there are different experts who have given different thoughts. Some are common throughout and some are new, which have been developed from time to time, keeping in view the prevailing situations, requirements, and need of the day. These thoughts are meant for providing better management and better production. These thoughts are applicable in all types of organizations, and libraries and information centers are no exception. These thoughts are applicable in all types of libraries and throughout the world. Schools of management thought can be broadly distributed into three groups. 1. Classical theory, 2. New classical theory, and 3. Modern theory. In the first classical theory, there are four thoughts. One is early contribution, which are from earliest time up to 19th century. Next is scientific management school of thought. The period pertains to 1900 to 1930. Third is operational management school theory, which pertains to the period 1916 to 1940. Fourth is bureaucratic school, and this is for the period 1930 to 1945. Now, the second category, new classical theory, it involves only one, known as human relations school of thought, and this pertains to the period 1930 to 1950. It also has a social system school from 1940 to 1950, then decision theory school 1945 to 1965, then management science school from 1950 to 60, and human behavior school 1950 to 1970. The third category, which is known as modern theory, it has three schools of thoughts. One is system school of thought from 1960 onward. Next is contingency school of thought from 1970 onward. And last one is learning organizational school from 1990 onwards. The early contributions in the management school of thoughts pertain to the Egypt period in 1300 BC. According to L. M. Prasad, the confusion probable includes suggestion for proper public administration and administration of choose honest, unselfish, and capable public officers long before Christ. Kautilya also gave some ideas in this regard, and we have some information from church administration for 320 BC. In the 16th century, Machiavelli wrote The Prince, and he gave the idea of love approach and fear approach, which is common even today. In fact, management theories in the early period were not really theories, but some discrete practices or experiences only. For that matter, management theories in the present century are also not totally free from certain problems. To become a theory, an experience or practice needs to undergo several modifications, synthesis, and test. For this purpose, a sound theoretical and conceptual framework is essential for a theory to take shape. Lack of adequate concept for considered is very serious drawback in the development of a unified and integrated management theory. It involves the late 19th century and early 20th century, especially the period 1880 to 1920. The classical school is also known as traditional school of management among the practitioners. The primary contribution of the classical school of management includes application of science to the practice of management, and secondly, development of basic management functions. It also sometimes includes articulation and application of specific principles of management. Frederick Winslow Taylor is considered to be the father of scientific management. Subsequently, he was supported by Henry Gantt, George Berth, Edward Phelan, and Mr. Gilbert. Four basic parts of a series of ideas developed by Taylor are as under. 1. Each person's job should be broken down into elements, and a scientific way to perform each element should be determined. 2. Workers should be scientifically selected and trained to do the work in the designed and trained manners. 3. There should be good cooperation between management and workers so that tasks are performed in the designed manner. Lastly, there should be a division of labor between managers and the workers. Managers should take over the work of supervising and setting up instructions and designing the work and the workers. And the workers should be free to perform the work themselves. Thus, the scientific management provides a logical framework for the analysis of the problem. Taylor's contributions can be described in two parts, namely elements and tools of scientific management and principles of scientific management. The elements and tools of scientific management comprise of separation of planning and doing, secondly functional foremanship, and thirdly job analysis, fourthly standardization, fifthly scientific selection and training of workers, sixth financial incentives, seventh economy, and last mental revolution. Here he says that there should be mental change in the management as well as workers from conflict to cooperation. Taylor says that this is the most important feature of scientific management because in its absence, no principle of scientific management can be applied. The other one is principles of scientific management. This is propounded by Taylor. He says that we should replace the rule of thumb with science. Secondly, harmony in the group action is important. Thirdly, cooperation between workers and managers is required. Fourthly, maximum output at continuous level is required because this will lead to more profit. And lastly, development of the workers is important. In scientific management, all workers should be developed to the fullest extent possible for their own and for the organization's highest prosperity. It requires scientific selection of workers, their proper training, and regular updating according to the requirement of new methods of working. These principles are very much applicable even today in all types of organizations, including libraries throughout the world. In the classical theory of thoughts, we have various categories. The next one is operational management school of thought. It was prevalent during the period 1916 to 1940. It involves a set of rules, especially division of work. The division of work says that in an organization, the work should be divided appropriately as per possibility of division, as per functional aspect, and as per specialization of the staff. Various people can perform various duties, and if they do as per their specialization, the result will be better, the function output will be better. Similarly, authority. The authority should be given, and there should be a person who is authorized to do certain things, otherwise it will not achieve the goal. Third is discipline. Discipline is very important, otherwise there will be no hierarchy and people will disobey, and if there is no discipline, things will be in chaos. So, it is very important that discipline is maintained in proper sense. That is major part of this school of thought. Another point is unity of command. One person should give the command from the top and others should abide by. If there is no one point of command, many people give command, it can lead to confusion, chaos and cumbersome. So, unity is very important. The chief librarian, who is the manager of the library, should give the command. Another is unity of direction. It is not only command that is important, giving direction is equally important. Direction should be given by one person and it should be uniform, then results will be uniform. If many people give direction, this can also lead to confusion and chaos. Then subordination of the individual interest. Subordination is so important because if we say I stout, you stout, who will carry the dust out? Everybody is important. There is no subordinate, no senior or junior, then everybody will not do the inferior work or superior work. So, division of work has to be there. That is the only possibility subordination gives leads. If one is subordinate, he will be elevated, he will be promoted, he will initiate, he will take initiative and he will work hard to get promotion. So, subordination is important from that angle. Otherwise, interest will not be generated. Remuneration to the persons means salary or wages. If the wages are less, there will be no initiative, people will not work hard. If there is better salary, more emoluments, more wages, chances of better promotion, then they will work harder and results will be better. Another point is centralization. Entire work process should be centralized. That will lead to uniformity, consistency and accuracy. Otherwise, variety of, for example, cataloging, various people make different types of catalog cards, various people make different types of binding, various people make different types of classification, then uniformity will not be there. Although the entire catalog, the entire system, the entire arrangement is one. So, centralization is important. Scalar chain, it is equally important. Order, in systematic order, proper order is important. Equality, because all should be treated equal, maybe subordinate, maybe seniors, and their status, their respect, their type rules for job, their rules for service should be equal, and they should have equal chance for promotions, equal chance for various opportunities. Stability of the tenure of personnel is equally important. If they are sure that they are going to be promoted, they are going to be permanent, they are going to stay for longer period, they will work harder, they will take interest in the work. If they know they are going to be shunted out tomorrow, they are going to be removed, they will lose interest, they will not work seriously or efficiently. Initiative, that is equally important. The staff, the subordinates or colleagues should take initiative, even seniors should take initiative. That will lead to new efforts, new incentives, new approaches and new techniques that may be much better. We call it research. So, this way there has to be hierarchy, there has to be division of work, there has to be initiative, there has to be equality, there has to be permanence of job. That theory prevails even today. This is one of the very important theories and schools of thought of management. Another school of thought is bureaucratic school of thought. This was prevalent during the period 1930 to 1945. In this system, actually this system was given by English people, and it leads to bureaucracy. Bureaucracy involves a structure of the authority in the organization. Who is the person who can lead, who can give direction, who has the authority to get the work done, and it is designed, it is defined, it is named, it is told that so and so is the head of the institution, head of the library, head of the organization, whose authority has to be abided by all concerned. Another point is that static and predictable environment should be there. We should predict what environments will prevail, where these people will work, and that will actually this system is a closed system. There is a hierarchy, there is a system, people will get promotion step by step, and they will work hard to get promotion, and there will be a sequence, there will be some very strict tests or promotion. In the bureaucratic setup, there is a annual report system, annual report is written about the subordinates, and then he or she is promoted or given the promotion increments or given the efficiency bar removal. So this hierarchy system is there, and this closed system is very limited. People have different perspective. This bureaucratic system is more of a it is more relevant in the offices, and it is not really applicable in libraries. Today it is fading away, it is not very common, but still we can see bureaucratic school of thought being applied in some organization. Human relations school of thought. Prominent advocate of this school of thought is Elton Mayo. Two other co-researchers of this school were Roethlisberger and William Dixon. Subsequently, M.P. Follett also contributed in this school. According to these experts, which were developed during middle of 20th century, this approach emphasizes the complexity of mankind and devotes much more attention to the satisfaction of human needs within the organization. Since the management involves getting things done with and through people, the study of management must revolve around the human behavior. That's why it is also known as behavioral science school of thought, or organizational school of thought, or even leadership school of thought. This approach brings to the study of human behavior ranging from personality dynamics of individuals at one extreme to the relationship of culture at the other extreme. Therefore, this approach can be divided into two groups: interpersonal behavior approach and group behavior approach. While interpersonal behavior approach is based upon individual psychology, the group behavior approach relies on social psychology and emphasizes on organizational behavior. The main assumption of the human relations schools are as follows. 1. As management is a process of getting things done by people, the manager should understand human behavior. 2. Motivation and good human relations should be the base for better productivity. And third, motivation, leadership, communication, participative management, and group dynamics are the major themes of this approach. But human behavior is not the total field of concern of the manager. Wherever secrecy of decision is required, and when decisions have to be made quickly on emergent basis, this approach may not work. The human relations school is considered to be a swing in the opposition direction of classical theory. Here, only human variables have been considered as critical and all other variables have been ignored altogether. Every organization is made up of a number of diverse social groups with compatible value and interest. These groups might cooperate in some sphere, while these may complete and clash in others. In fact, it is very difficult to satisfy everybody and turn the organization into a big, happy family. Social system school of thought. Chester Bernard is considered the father of social system school, which is sociologically oriented. In looking for and seeking fundamental explanations about how managerial processes take place, Bernard developed a theory of cooperation which is based on the need of individual to offset personal, biological, physiological, and sociological limitations. It defines cooperation as a system in which people are able to communicate with one another and willing to coordinate their efforts to a unified end result. According to Edward Evans, this style also recognizes that some interactions are conditional by the informal organizations. Leadership and other characteristics of individuals exhibited in informal situations may not coincide with their leadership role in the formal organization. Social systems adherent and recognize that what happens on the job is strongly influenced by social activities taking place within the social system, that is, outside the organizational system and by other organizations. The major contribution of Chester Bernard can be presented as under 1. Concept of organization, that is, an organization exists when there are persons able to communicate with each other. They are willing to contribute to the action and they attempt to accomplish a common purpose. Second, formal and informal organizations. The formal organization has consciously coordinated interactions which have a deliberate and common purpose. On the other hand, the informal organization refers to those social interactions which do not have consciously coordinated joint purpose. The informal organizations exist to overcome the problem of formal organization. Third is elements of organization. According to Bernard, there are 4 elements of formal organizations which are a system of a functionalization so that people can specialize. Second, a system of effective and efficient incentives so as to induce people to contribute to the group action. Third, a system of power which will lead group members to accept the decisions of the executives. And lastly, a system of logical decision making. Fourth is authority, according to which bottom-up authority is important. He says that a person does not obey an order because it has been given by a superior, but he will accept a communication as being authoritative only when he feels that he can understand the communication. Secondly, he believes that it is not inconsistent with the organizational purpose. Thirdly, he believes it to be compatible with his personal interest as a whole. And fourthly, he is mentally and physically able to comply with it. 5 is functions of the executive. 3 types of functions of an executive have been identified by Bernard, which are 1. Maintenance of organizational communication through formal interactions. 2. Securing essential services from individuals in the organization to achieve the organizational purpose. And third, formulation and definition of organizational purpose. Number 6 is motivation. Some of the prominent non-financial techniques for motivating people to work, as suggested by Bernard, are opportunity of power and distinction, pride of workmanship, pleasant organization, participation, mutual supporting personal attitude, and feeling of belongingness. Seventh is executive effectiveness. Leadership is the most strategic factor in securing cooperation from the people. It demands high caliber technological competence and technical as well as social skills. And last one, eighth one, is organizational equilibrium. It refers to the matching of individual efforts and organizational efforts to satisfy individuals. The cooperation of individuals with the organization brings forth new activities. The organizational equilibrium can be perceived not only through logical appraisal but through analysis and institution. Thus, many non-logical factors also enter into organizational analysis. Therefore, the reason for an action should not only be logical but must appeal to those attitudes, predilection, prejudices, and emotions and mental background that cover the action. Decision theory school of thought. Major contribution of this school of thought has come from Simon. Other contributors are Siret, March, Forrester, etc. The emphasis of this school is that decision making is the job of every manager. In other words, manager is a decision maker while organization is a decision making unit. Rational decisions are required to be made for achieving the goal. According to L. M. Prasad and Edward Evans, decision theory school has the following features. 1. Management is essentially decision making. 2. Members of the organization are decision makers and problem solvers. 3. Organizations can be treated as a combination of various decision centers. The level and importance of organization members are determined on the basis of importance of decisions which they have to make. Fourth, quality of decision affects the organizational effectiveness. And last, fifth, all factors affecting decision making are the subject matters of study of management. Besides processes and techniques involved in decision making, other factors affecting the decisions are information system, social and psychological aspects of decision makers, and thus it covers the entire range of human activities. In the new classical theory or school of thought of management, the next one is management science school of thought. This was prevalent during the year 1950 to 1960. In this, we analyze and understand the management. Whatever was done in the management aspect, that is analyzed step by step, and this analysis is used for applying the rules. Application of quantitative techniques in the planning and controlling and also in decision making is very important. This decision making process is based on analysis and the outcome or results of various activities in the organization. This school of thought is even significant in libraries because management is involved and analysis is done regularly in various sections of the library. Behavior of the people is involved, and that way this is prevalent in most of the libraries throughout the world. Another school of thought is called human behavior school of thought. In this, we have human behavior as the main theme under consideration. This was prevalent during the year 1950 to 1970. Here the human behavior is focused and various dimensions are studied what human being does, because human being is the major aspect in libraries, especially the users, they are human being, the staff, they are the human being, the manager is human being, and information is used for human being. So this theory is based on human psychology, a relationship of person to person, relationship with the subordinates, with the seniors, relationship with the users of the library, relationship with the different types of clientele, and also relationship with people who provide information, who supply books, who deal with the library, or who are involved directly or indirectly with the libraries. The infrastructure facilities are also taken into account, and emphasis is given on individual psychology and organizational behavior in this regard. This theory is very important and very relevant, used in different types of libraries throughout. System approach or system school of thought. One of the most widely accepted theoretical bases for modern management is called system approach or system school. System is defined as a set of elements standing in interrelation among themselves and with the environment. The really important aspects are the interaction among elements to create a whole dynamic system. This system, if it is an open one, interacts with the environment. The system is influenced by the environment and in turn influences the environment. If the system is dissected, it becomes evident that it comprises a number of subsystems. Similarly, an organization is also one subsystem of a large environment. According to Stewart and Moran, the older school of management says that closed system, one in which the outside environment did not interact with the system, is important. The system approach to management differs from these other classical perspectives because it acknowledges the impact of the outside environment on everything that happens within an organization. According to Tony Dawson, this theory claims that an organization consists of a number of subsystems. The examples of subsystems are: 1. Production or technical. This subsystem provides the primary function or purpose of the organization. The examples would be the production lines of industrial enterprises, or in the public service context, social service homes or hospitals. 2. Sportive. This subsystem supports the production subsystem. For instance, it procures inputs and resources, that is, sound functions, or disposes of products, that is, sales and dispatch functions. Third is adaptive. This subsystem ensures that the organization adapts to changing circumstances. An example would be the research function. System school suffers from two limitations, that is, it is too abstract to be of much use to the practicing manager. It merely indicates that various parts of organizations are interrelated, but it fails to spell out precisely a relationship among these. This way, it lacks the universality and its perception cannot be applied to all organizations. For example, the system approach provides modern structure forms. These systems are suitable for large and complex organizations but are not suitable for small organizations. Looking into these shortcomings, researchers have tried to modify the system approach. This attempt has led to the emergence of a separate approach called contingency approach or situational approach. Contingency approach or contingency school of thought. It is also known as situational approach. The basic idea of contingency approach is that there cannot be a particular management action which will be suitable for all situations. Rather, an appropriate action is one which is designed on the basis of external environments and internal states and needs. Contingency theory suggests that system approach does not adequately spell out the precise relationship between organization and its environments, but the contingency school tries to fill this gap. This approach asserts that number one, there is no best managerial technique, two, there is no best way to manage, three, no technique or managerial principle is effective all of the times, and last, should the question be posed as to what works best, the simple response is it all depends on the situation. This way, it is known as situational approach as well. Learning organizational school of thought. This approach was first put forth by P06 during 1990. As the name implies, a learning organization is one in which all employees are constantly learning. They keep on focusing on identifying and solving the problem within the organization at all levels. The basic principle of this learning organization school are as follows. Number one, personal mastery with people identifying that is important in the process. Number two, mental models with the organization continuously challenging members in order to improve their mental models. Three, shared vision requiring an imagining of what the organization should be. Fourth, team learning through cooperation, communication, and compatibility. And last, system thinking, recognizing an organization as a whole. Since the manager have to act as leader, they assume the role of innovator, director, coordinator, monitor, facilitator, and teacher. The learning organization school seems to be a good fit as more organizations are making shift from the command and control organization to information based organization. The theory of learning organization is being applied to more and more organizations these days. It is being applied in various types of libraries and information. We have seen that various theories of management existed right from the ancient time up to today, and these could be broadly grouped into three categories: classical, new classical, and modern. Although the classical theories are also prevalent and used even today, new classical theories are more prevalent, but actually modern theories are the latest and used in most of the libraries. There is some combination, there is some principles taken from classical and new classical theories also, but more of the modern schools of thought are used, are applied, and are prevalent in the organization and management of different types of libraries throughout the world.